So if we look at our chart, the create poll component will need to output its form data to app component, which then it will submit to poll service. Same for poll vote. When we vote, this component needs to output the data to the parent, and parent need to handle it by calling the poll service vote function. So let's start with poll create. In poll create component, we need to create an output, which we call poll created, and give it the type of event emitter, which is Angular specific, which will be equal to new event emitter. When you're auto importing, make sure the event emitter is not imported from the protractor. That's a different library. Make sure that it's imported from the Angular core. That's the correct import. Event emitter also takes a parameter, which is the type of the object which we are going to output. In our case, it will be the form data. So I can already see we will use some object here, and we could probably use the exactly same over here, meaning we can just create a new type. We can call it export interface poll form, where we will have the question, thumbnail, and options. So that means to make it even more nicer, we can remove the thumbnail from here, options from here, questions from here, and then our poll will actually stands the poll form. So that means it will have these values plus these values the poll will have. Then we can just copy paste the type, go back to poll create, and now we'll be outputting this type of poll form, which we need to import here. So we get nice type checking and everything else. So submitting the form means we now need to create this poll form object. We can call it form data, which will be of type poll form, and this will be equal to question. The question we can get from poll form dot get, and now the question dot value. We are creating object which has variable called question, and this one we are getting from the poll form. This question or this string needs to be equal to the one which is specified here, and then we are just getting whatever the value was there. Same goes for the image. We can copy paste this one and write here image, or this one is actually thumbnail. And the last one is options, and these options is array, option 1 value, option 2 value, and then option 3 value. So we can just copy paste them and put comma over here. And in the end we created object, so we can just emit it out with poll created.emit, and then we emit the form data. So now our object is on submitting the form, emitting the form data, whatever the user inputted. In order to handle or act on this event, we need to, in parent event, create the handler. So we go to app component, and we need to handle it in the app poll create component. So we will react on poll created event, and we'll write handle poll create, and we pass the event which was outputted, which we know is the poll form data. We save, and we need to go to create this function. So on handle poll create, which is our poll form data, we know it, we defined it. We can just call the poll service create poll, and we pass the poll. We just need to update in the create poll the data structure to accept the poll form, and inside here we can just console log the poll itself, whatever was submitted, to make sure it's the correct one. Let's just go check this out, that it works. We create poll, question hello, image HTTPS, option 1, A, B, C. We open our console. Before we hit submit, click console, submit poll, and we can see that our poll service is actually console logging out this data, which is what we wanted. Great, so we can create the poll. We are going to make sure that you can vote for the poll. For this we need to head to poll vote component, and inside the submit form we again will be outputting data, so we need to create a new output event emitter, which we can call voted, which will be event emitter of type. Probably we can again create new interface here. So let's do that. In types we create a new interface. Let's call it poll vote, and this will require poll ID, or let's just call it ID of a number, and then the actual vote, which will be also number. We can grab the type, go back to poll vote component, add the type here and import it. Again, make sure the event emitter is not from protractor. I don't know why it's importing from there. immediately. It's from Angular core, and we can see we have two voted variables. They cannot be named the same, so we can just write poll voted. Inside our submit form, we will be outputting the value, so we can create a new constant called poll voted, give it the type of poll vote, and this will be object which will have the ID. This ID we will get from not here, because we don't have the input value. So now we know we also need poll ID, or this component needs poll ID, so we'll need to pass it down. We will do that. This ID will be equal to this one, and then also we have the vote, which will be equal to the vote form selected value. So we look at the vote form, we get the name of the string must be equal to which one we want. In this case it's selected, and then we get the value. Just like this, and then our event emitter needs to output this value, poll voted.emit poll voted. Okay, because we created new input value over here in poll vote component, we also need to update our app component to pass down the ID. So we can just head here, write ID, and then active poll.id. Great. Because we added also output event, we need to listen for that, which is called poll voted. We'll add a function handle poll vote, and we'll pass down whatever event was outputted. We know it will be the poll voted event. So we go to create a new function called handle poll vote, which will be poll voted of type poll vote, and then we will just pass the data to our service, poll voted.id and poll voted.number. In this case it's called vote. We save and we go back to our website to check it out. So if I select best month for summer holidays, open our console and select some option, let's say June, which is 0, we should see submit vote. Poll ID is 2. Let's verify that. Let's go back to poll service, to our polls, and that is true. Best month for summer holidays is ID number 2, and the option June is indeed 0 indexed. If we choose August, it should be 0, 1, 2, so we should get 2, 2. If we choose July, submit, we see 2, 1, poll ID is 2, and vote is 1 position. So it works as expected. And basically now we implemented our poll service, which works with dummy data for getting the polls, but vote and create poll is already ready to be executed further and be connected with the Web3 service, which will communicate with MetaMask blockchain. So I hope you are starting to see our idea and why we decided to go with this structure, because with this structure again we decoupled our front-end application from whatever we can call it backend. In this case it will be the blockchain, or backend in the future if we decide to use, is not coupled together. That means our poll service is only a place where we need to do the changes if we need to change something. All our application would be still working. So let's summarize what we did. We created a poll service, which we then moved to separate folder, and we have created 3 different functions. We have created get polls, vote, and create poll. Get polls function is returning observable. It could be promise as well, it's up to you, which is asynchronous call, and we delayed it by 2 seconds to kind of replicate real life scenario. And inside we can see it's the actual data which we had previously in our app component. But now in our app component we are calling this get polls function, and in our view we are using the async pipe to wait for data to be loaded, and then the component will be generated. We also implemented vote and create poll, which are just console logging the data. In our vote and create component we have created outputs, so they can output the data to the parent. For the poll create, where we are outputting poll form, for which one we create also the interface, and for poll vote we have created output of poll vote interface, where we just outputting the ID of the poll and the selected vote. Then inside our app component, which is parent of both, we are listening for this poll voted event and then handling it by calling the proper poll service functions. Same goes for the poll created in app poll create. We are handling the event. So this way we have very nice modular structure, and now we are ready to get down to business.